and welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I have another book review for you, and that is for Star Wars: The High Republic, The Eye of Darkness by George Mann. This is the first adult novel and first novel in general, I believe, in the High Republic Phase 3. For some context, because this is a book taking place so far into this series, The High Republic is a very special series to me. It is the series that got me back into reading as an adult with the first book, Light of the Jedi. And I really liked Phase 1 a lot of The High Republic. All three of the adult books I really loved. My favorite being either probably The Rising Storm or The Fallen Star, which I would say are still, one of those is still my favorite High Republic book. I really enjoyed the YA novels as well. That's all I've really read of The High Republic is the adult and the YA. I haven't really read any of the middle grade. I haven't read any of the comics, although I would like to potentially do both of those things eventually. But I've just been keeping up with the adult novels and the young adult novels. Phase 2, I was a little disappointed by. I generally enjoyed each of the books fine enough. I did really like the first young adult novel, and I enjoyed the second adult novel quite a decent bit. But the other two books didn't quite land it for me. And even though I generally was fairly positive on Phase 2, it did not live up to what I considered Phase 1 to be. And so I've been very much looking forward to diving into Phase 3 because I really want to get back to the characters from Phase 1. For those who aren't aware, Phase 2 is a prequel, so Phase 3, which this book is a part of, is directly continuing from Phase 1. So I've been really looking forward to just getting back to those characters, getting back to those storylines, and even though Phase 2 does seem to be relevant to Phase 3 in some ways, it is not, as direct of a continuation. So I've been looking forward to this for a while, and I'd heard this was one of the better books in the High Republic in some time. A lot of people that I have spoken to really, really liked this one, and so I was really excited to read it. And I have to say I did really enjoy this book quite a bit. I would not say it's quite one of my favorite High Republic books. I certainly would probably prefer it over most of what I read in Phase 2 at least. It doesn't quite reach the heights of the best of Phase 1 for me, but I did still really enjoy it as a solid start to Phase 3. I enjoyed it quite a bit. To get into the positives of this book, which is pretty much everything I have to say about it, I don't really have much of anything bad to say about this one. First of all, it was just nice to get back to this story and these characters, but also in terms of the book itself, I really enjoyed getting to see this side of the story again, because at the time of this book, it has been 1 year since the events of The Fallen Star, the final adult book of Phase 1, and not only was it great to see the characters again and everything, but it was also great to see the fallout of, that year in between. Like, how were they feeling this long after those events? How had the characters kind of grown and changed in that time? How are they dealing with the tragic events of Phase 1? What's kind of this time been like for them, and seeing how they were still handling and coping with some of those things was really interesting to me. That was the thing I was most excited about when it came to this book, and I would say it's the thing I most enjoyed, was just seeing the aftermath of that was really interesting to me. Seeing the characters interacting with one another, again, especially with the context of everything that had happened in the past. Getting to see where things are kind of headed, seeing the Nile, which is kind of the villain group of the High Republic, seeing what they're up to, seeing, them, they've basically conquered this portion of the galaxy, put up this storm wall, which basically is this barrier that keeps everyone inside and keeps everyone out of it outside. And seeing what they're up to, seeing what they're doing, what they're planning to do now and in the future, and the Republic kind of trying to figure out how they're going to approach this situation, and everything was very interesting to me. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the characters as well. The character work in here generally is really good. I really loved getting to see a lot of the major characters from Phase 1 again. I especially really enjoyed Elzar Mann. He's probably my favorite character in the series, and seeing him, especially with some of the stuff that happened to him in Fallen Star, seeing the way he was dealing with some of that stuff was very interesting. His interactions with other characters, especially like Chancellor Lena So, and things like that, getting to see Avar Kriss, who at this point was inside of the Nile storm wall. So she's kind of doing some work in there. Getting to see other characters. Bel Zettifar appears a bit in here. Marchion Ro, the leader of the Nile, as well as several other Nile characters appear in here. Getting to see them all interacting again was really fun. And just generally getting to see all the characters. This is very much a character driven book. There is a strong plot to it as well. There's a lot of things going on. But to me, this was like a weird combination of feeling both very small scale and large scale at the same time, because it is very character driven. There's a lot of character interactions, character drama, a lot of kind of discussions between characters, certain like political things going on, different things like that that are very kind of small scale in terms of just seeing the interactions between characters and seeing character introspection and the way that they're kind of processing everything that's been going on. But it's also very large scale because you have this, you know, this other power in the Nile that's kind of challenging the Republic, challenging the Jedi, and is making some pretty good progress on doing that. And so it's kind of this interesting combination of this very small scale character work with really large scale, just regular or just other large scale events that are going on, where it's really highlighting kind of what's going on in the wider galaxy. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. There's some good action in here. Not a huge amount of action. I think this, to me, was mostly the most interesting when it came to the characters and the dialogue. But there is some really good action in here at times that I really enjoyed. And just different things like that. A lot of interesting events that happen throughout this book. There's some really good imagery in here, some really interesting things that I think are going to stick with me, much like certain events from Phase 1 and even a handful of events from Phase 2 that I think are just really going to stick with me because visually they're very, they just stick in my mind quite well. As far as negatives when it comes to this book, I don't really have much to say. The only thing really that I wasn't quite as strong on with this book was the plot. Like I said, I really enjoyed the character work in this book. I tend to be more interested in the characters when it comes to most books. So to me, that was very strong in this book. I also really enjoyed some of the theme work in this book, some of the way that expanded on just talking about what the setting is like at this point in time, things like that. And the plot is interesting. There's interesting things that happen, but as a whole, it never really grabbed me. Like there's events that happen in this book that I can think of and be like, oh yeah, that was a really cool thing that happened. That was really interesting. Oh, that was really awful and tragic. All these kinds of things. There's interesting events that happen, but the kind of through line for it never quite grabbed me. But that really is not a huge issue for me because I still really love the characters. And even though the plot as a whole wasn't super grabbing me, a lot of the individual pieces of it did. So that's kind of where I would talk about that. So overall, I really enjoyed this one. Again, not one of my favorite High Republic books, but a very solid return to the events and characters from Phase 1. Solid beginning to Phase 3. Really kind of got me excited about the High Republic again, because even though, like I said, I was generally fairly positive on Phase 2, it was definitely much more middling than my opinion on Phase 1 was. Even though there were a couple books in Phase 1 I didn't love, there was a lot more in it that I really did love than there was in Phase 2. And Phase 2 just didn't connect with me the same way generally. So this book really kind of got me excited about reading the High Republic again, getting to see these characters in this story, and just kind of excited to see where things go from here. So I'm really excited to continue reading this series and checking out the remaining books in Phase 3. This is going to be wrapping up soon. I think the last book comes out in June. I'm not going to finish it up by then, but I will be hopefully continuing to work my way through Phase 3 throughout the rest of the year, hopefully. So very excited about that. As far as a rating out of 10, I'd give The Eye of Darkness, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Even though everything generally I have to say about it is very positive, to me it's not like absolute top tier amazingness like some other books were, like Rising Storm or Fallen Star. I'd put this probably about the same level as something like, for me, like Light of the Jedi, or maybe in terms of Phase 2, maybe like Cataclysm. Kind of a similar level to those in terms of how much I enjoyed it. Really good, just not quite at that absolute top tier. But that's pretty much it for this review. Let me know in the comments if you have read The Eye of Darkness and what you thought of it, if so. If it was one of your favorite High Republic books, if it's a little lower for you, whatever you may think, let me know down in the comments below. And you can expect me to be reading more of Phase 3 over the course of this year. I don't have any of the other books at the moment, but I am going to start trying to get some of them. So hopefully I will be able to get to the next one, the next young adult novel in the series fairly soon. Hopefully, potentially, maybe. We'll see. But that is pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.